Hi, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Joanna. Glad you stopped by. Today we're going to be sewing some cute little fall mug rugs. Let's get started. Okay, this is a free printable that I have made in my Silhouette Studio. This is offered in my blog, but the printable will look a little bit different. I had to change that acorn a little bit to make it, better, of course. But anyways, I have a blog and I don't get excited. There's nothing on it. I don't know what I'm doing just exactly yet, but I'm learning. But I wanted to offer you all free printables if I ever did anything like this. So this printable will be in my blog. I'll try to link it in the description. If it doesn't work, y'all let me know in the comments. But anyways, you're going to want to print that, and I'll give you instructions on how to do that in the blog. You're going to need felt for the stem, green or brown. You're going to need fabrics. Ain't these cute? They're so pretty. But anyways, I'm a plaid girl, so I'm going to get this plaid right here because I love it. And you want batting. This is low loft. It's really thin. This will work really well for a mug rug. But I'm going to use this cotton batting. You can get this at craft stores. Walmart has it. Just wherever. You're going to take your material, right sides out, wrong sides together. I'll show you that in a minute, the wrong sides. But just pin your printable pattern down. That's the wrong sides. They're together. And then just cut it out. And then you're going to put your interfacing down and then cut that pattern out. Just one of those. And then you're going to lay your felt down and cut out your stem. Now you're going to want to just take your fabric and pull it apart. Put your batting in there. And then I'm going to take a glue stick. I use this a lot when I'm sewing. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue to hold the stem down, just to make sure it's in place. And then I'm going to put my top on there. I'm going to pin it all the way around the side, making sure I pin the stem. Had to take my watch off and get that arm thing, y'all. Anyways, pin it all the way around, and then we're going to take it to the machine and sew it. Now, if you don't want to sew it or don't have a machine, you can hot glue this, fabric glue, whatever, all the way around. Now, we're at the sewing machine, and I had to change my needle. I want to show you this thing. This is why I love this thing so much. There's a flat side, see? So, and then there's a hook on the end. I don't use the needle threader, but your needles have a flat side. And this will make sure, when you put it down in this holder, that it doesn't turn when you're trying to put it in. It'll make it where you can insert it right in there, like that right there, and push it all the way up. And then you tighten your screw, pull it off. Then you take your machine. Most machines have an automatic threader. Thread your machine. Take that hook, grab that loop, and pull that thread. That easy. This is what I love this thing for. I don't use it to thread my machine per se. Sometimes I do with the old ones, but with the newer ones that have an automatic threader, I don't. Now what you're going to want to do, don't y'all love my gonna wanna? You want your needle in the middle. You can move it to the right, just a hair, but anyways, basically leave it in the middle. Put your fabric on the edge of your presser foot, just a normal presser foot. Sew a few stitches, then back stitch, and then go all the way around till you get to where you started. That's what it's going to look like all the way around. Now we're going to add lines in the middle. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to start at the top and go curved, but go in a little piece. You know, like pumpkin lines. You know, pumpkins, see, they have lines. Pull your strings up each time you go around. Now, just measure with your presser foot and go around in. And then pull your strings up. And then I flip it over and do the other side, just making sure that all my strings are up and out of the way. When you have it all sewn, it should look like this with your lines in the pumpkin as so. Now, you're going to take your pins out, and you're going to take your snippers and trim all your threads. Now you're going to take your snippers or little scissors and not cut your thread, but you're going to snip close to that thread all the way around so that we can make it look a little ragged. Now take your acorn pattern and do basically the same as we did with the pumpkin. Cut out one of your interfacings and then take your two top and bottom fabric pieces. Cut one fabric with the bottom and cut the other coordinating or contrasting, whatever way you want it, with the top. But it would look better if you have two different fabrics. Make sure when you cut the fabrics that you use that you have the fabric wrong sides together, right sides out, and then we'll put it together. Now you're going to assemble your acorn. You're going to put your piece down. Then I'm going to use, you don't have to, but I have to because I can't do it without the glue. But anyways, you put your glue down. Then you place your pieces together. The glue just helps me hold it until I pin it. Then I'm going to put glue on the top edge of the fabric to hold my nut top down, or acorn top, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to do the same on the other side and just hold my fabric down. And then I'm going to we're not sewing that, it's too little for me to sew. So I'm just going to take my hot glue, this is fabric hot glue, and glue that part together because we're not sewing it or anything. So I'm just going to pin the top down and then pin it all the way around the sides just as I did the pumpkin, and then take it to the machine. If you do not have a sewing machine, you can also do this one with glue. Just make sure you glue everything down good, and that would be fine. Okay, now we're at the machine, and I'm going to sew all the way around the top part, making sure I do the bottom first because I don't want that to move. So I'm just going to leave my needle in the middle of my presser foot and just sew all the way around. When you go around a corner, you just slow down, and it's best to have it on a smaller stitch when you go around a corner, and you're going to pull your fabric around. You're doing all this with your hands basically. Now you have this, and I'm going to clip my strings and get them out of the way so that I don't get them caught in the other sewing process. Now I'm just going to go all the way around the bottom of the acorn part. I want to make sure I clip all my threads off at this point because I'm going to do the decorative stitches, quilting stitches, whatever. I'm just going to go around and around and then around and around. You'll see what I'm doing until I get, I think it's 3 or 4 in. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but you'll see. Make sure you clip all your threads off again. It's a long process, but it's worth it in the end, I promise. And then we're going to take the top, we're going to put it in the machine. We're going to make sure that we pull all of our threads to the top, and we're going to sew at an angle to make crisscross designs. So we're just going to go in an angle starting at one end, and we are going to use the presser foot as our guide. And when we sew a stitch, we're going to put the edge of the presser foot on that stitch line to stitch the other stitch line. Go from there and just keep going. Presser foot on stitch line to stitch a line. Presser foot on stitch line to stitch a line till you get all the way across. Just make sure that you pull your threads up to the top before you start stitching, because it's easier to clip them off when you don't stitch on the existing thread, but it'll keep you from having to trim them one at a time, pulling it off and on the machine. Now at this point you're going to want to clip all your threads off, and you just go across the bottom because all these should be at the top, and then you can snip across the top and clip all your little threads off. Make sure they're all off for this next process. Now we're going to take this and we're just going to cross it. You're going to sew your stitches across using your presser foot as your guide and your thread as your guide against your presser foot, just like you did the first set of lines. And they will make little diamond looking shapes for the top of your acorn. Now when that's done, you want to make sure that you clip all your threads off and snip all the way around your acorn, making sure that you don't snip your threads. Y'all may have knew this, but I did not. You can take these brushes and you can rub these across your fabric to fray it. Y'all, this was just amazing to me. Like, I don't even know. Where has this been all my life? Anyways, it was awesome to do this. It does make a mess, but it's worth it in the end. But anyway, there's my little acorn. They are so stinking cute. Now I'm going to create these little crates to hold my little mug rugs. And I'm going to be using wax on one and then chalk paint, gray chalk paint on the other. I normally use a baby wipe for my wax, but it's so hard to get in these creases and on the inside of this that I just brushed it on and then wiped it off. If you want to leave it this dark, you can. It was actually really pretty, but I just prefer a lighter tone. That's just me. So I'm going to get a baby wipe and wipe it off after I put it on in areas where that's available. I go back over it though and make it a little bit darker just because I seem to like it that way. That one's done. Now I'm just going to paint this one with gray chalk paint. Now I'm just going to take my sandpaper or sanding block, whatever this thing is, and I'm going to sand it down to rough the edges. I am not going to distress them. Shock, I know, but I'm going to use the sandpaper to distress them just to make them look a little worn around the edges and whatnot, you know, and cuten them up just a little bit. Is cuten even a word? Who knows? It is now. I'm going to cuten these up. Okay, now that I sanded them and cutened them up, I'm going to take these words, and I think that I got these at Hobby Lobby, but I'm not sure. May have even found them at the Dollar Tree. Who knows? But anyways, they have them at Hobby Lobby, I know. So I'm just going to take my glue. This is Gorilla Hot Glue. And I'm going to glue them to the front of the crates. When I put the one that said gather on the front of this crate, I just thought that it was too light. And since my pumpkin mug rugs were going to be, you know, have orange in them, I just wanted to paint the top of this with a pumpkin orange. It's just a apple barrel paint that I got at Walmart. Okay, now that the paint's dry, I'm just going to take my hot glue and I'm going to glue it to the front of the crate, just like I did the other one. And then I'm going to, in a minute, I'm going to take this jute twine and I'm going to wrap it around my fingers and just make a little finger bow. Then I'm going to take another piece of jute and tie it in the middle. I'm just using a little hair clip that I bought at Hobby Lobby to hold it so that I can tie it. Now after I trimmed it, I'm just going to hot glue it to the corner. And I'm done. And I'll make another one and hot glue it to the other one in the same manner. And here they are all finished and ready to use for your decorating.